First time I met Mary Bell, I felt that something bad could happen.
Welcome back to CRIMETOBER. Tonight's story takes us to Newcastle, England, where a city would be rocked to its core when two young boys disappear and are found murdered. And check this out. They were not murdered by a man or a teenager. They were murdered by a child. This is the story of Mary Bell. Newcastle, England was an industrial city where a lot of people say kids could roam freely, play outside, and you could leave your doors unlocked. Well, in May of 1968, things would change for this small community. On May 25th, the body of Martin Brown, a 4-year-old, would be found in an abandoned house. He had been strangled. Now, police originally thought that maybe he fell and he hurt himself. But that was not the case for 4-year-old Martin Brown. He believed that something did not feel right, because like I said, he was strangled. The next day, the local newspapers would report the tragic death of Martin. Now, this is where the case gets even crazy for me. Then, in class, Mary Bell decides to tell some of her classmates that she was there when Martin Brown died. Now, how would you be there, Mary? What's going on, ma'am? But no one believed her. They thought she was just making it up just to try to fit in with her classmates. But Mary was not lying. Mary was indeed telling the truth.
Involving this girl.
I believe that people have the propensity to be bad when they are born, and Mary Bell was one of these people.
I just don't think the law, the policing, or the government had any idea what to do with these girls.
She had strangled Martin Brown with her bare hands. You heard that, with her bare hands. She simply wanted to see what it felt like. An 11-year-old, y'all. 2 months later, on July 31st, 1968, another young boy would be found. Brian Howe was just 3 years old. He was outside playing with Mary and another friend by the name of Norma Bell, who is not related to Mary. And so later that day, Brian would be found. He was found in a wasteland, and it had appeared he had been strangled as well. But there were some other things that were a little bit different than Martin. Brian's hair had been cut, his lips had been scratched, and his genitals had been partially mutated, on top of an M being carved onto his stomach with a razor blade. Yep, police knew that this was not random. Something was going on. So they start to interview a lot of the local children, including Mary and Norma. Norma tells police that, yeah, Mary basically did that. She told everything. She was not keeping it to herself. And what's even crazier about the story is that Mary sat there, very calm and poised, and tells police, I don't know what you're talking about. Denies everything, y'all. It had even been reported she smiled during the investigation. Mary didn't care. Mary did not care, honey.
What about Mary herself? How did she react? Non-committal. Wasn't really that concerned. I think she fully expected it. The other girl, who'd been in tears on and off throughout the whole of the trial, she was just so shed away. And obviously it dawned on her that she was going to go home.
Then when investigators were questioning her, she asks them, do you think they will find fingerprints on him? What 11-year-old asks that? So by November of 1968, Mary is on trial. Mary was charged with 2 counts of manslaughter. She was not charged with murder because psychiatrists stated that Mary had psychopathic tendencies. So that's why she was not officially charged with murder. In court, many witnesses stated that she was very intelligent. She was, that word I hate, manipulative, y'all. But she was very cold. Like when she gave her testimony, or when they talked about what had occurred with the deaths of these 2 children, young boys, she just sat there very cold, like she didn't care. Me? You blaming me for a crime? I'm crying. What are you talking about? But the jury did find her guilty. She was sentenced to detention for life. This is kind of like the British form of life in prison type thing. So Mary spent her youth in multiple facilities across, you know, her life. When she was 23, she was actually let out. This was in 1980. She was given a new identity under the protection in the UK, where she was able to kind of start fresh, start over. She had reportedly had a daughter, and her daughter did not know that her mother had this kind of past because, of course, her new identity. Only when newspaper people and, you know, people across had figured out who the new identity was. She was no longer Mary Bell. She has a new name, which I don't know. But despite multiple interviews that she has done, she has relatively lived a quiet life. What makes Mary's case so disturbing is not only the age, but its reasoning. When Mary was asked why she did these things, she basically says that she liked hurting things. It made her feel powerful. An 11-year-old. I just can't get over the age. Like, what an 11-year-old that's dangerous, because an 11-year-old knew how to control, to manipulate a situation, to destroy it at 11. Behind those blue eyes, there was a lot of darkness. But the thing that makes me say about this episode of CRIMETOBER is that evil can develop so young. It does not matter. You don't have to wear a mask. Kind of reminds me of Michael Myers, even though that's a fiction, you know, it's not a real character. But the emotionalness, the things that some children do is real, very real. Evil does not care. Like, I think it's scary because Mary didn't wear a mask. She didn't hide in the shadows. She was a little kid that presented herself to be your friend, to want to play, and then ultimately did something so devastating. The thing that bothers me is that two families lost a child, and she gets out, although she did this when she was a child, and she got to live her life. So when I tried to do research, I did notice that, and I'm looking this way because I'm looking at my notes, that she's still alive. I didn't find anything that she has died. She has given only a few statements to the press. There is, most notably through a journalist named by the name of Giddy Senery, who wrote Cries Unheard, Why Children Kill, the story of Mary Bell. In those interviews, Mary said she had been trying to live a normal life and come to terms with her past. And that's pretty much that, basically, where she is today. Her whereabouts are unknown because, again, like I said, she has a new identity. And I think in 2003, the British High Court gave more protection for her and her daughter as well. So people can kind of like let her daughter have her identity and not come after her. But Mary's story is one that we should all listen to because, like I said, it's not about wearing a mask. Evil can begin at a very young age. And sometimes the most scariest faces, like I said, are not ones that we see in horror movies. It could literally be people we see in every day, even children. It does not matter. Does not matter. But that is the story of 11-year-old Mary Bell, who was evil. That's just what it was. I'm happy that she changed her life, but a part of me is very sad for those two families that did not deserve that. And she has to live with that. That is something that she has to live with. I read, like I said, she is changing her life, which is good. But again, two children died at the hands of Mary Bell, and it's a reminder to be safe this holiday season, Halloween, more so holiday, and be reminded that children can be just as evil. It does not matter. Until the next episode, I'll see you tomorrow. Girl, what is we talking about? Bye, guys.